There are many different types of traders out in the world, everyone from indicator-based traders, pattern-based traders, Elliott wave theory type traders, and so many more. In this particular video, though, I'm going to be focusing in on some pattern traders, and specifically a particular kind of pattern that has cropped up quite a bit in, the social medias, such as Twitter, Facebook, and of course on YouTube. And what I'm going to be talking about is this one particular pattern that has caught the attention of many investors in the space. Now, as I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. Now, if you have not yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. So why not go ahead and check that out today? And in the description down below, you'll also find links to our Patreon services, where we offer a lot more for our Patreon members via Discord, and of course the new Cheeky podcast as well. So why not check that out if that's your bag? Okay, let's waste no more time though, and let's jump right down into this. We are going to be focusing in on one particular pattern that is called the Adam and Eve pattern. This is a pattern that has cropped up quite a bit across YouTube, Twitter, etc. And to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I'm going to go through what this pattern actually is, what you should look out for, and what it would mean. And of course, then try to apply it to the Bitcoin chart here and see if actually this is a good fit or not for what is actually going on. So let's get into it. So here we are actually on the 8-hourly chart, and for the most part, I've actually just got a couple of trading view things here come up, right? So we can see double bottom, ascending triangles, ready to retest 28K, Adam and Eve pattern in progress, and all these others, right? And it kind of goes on and on and on and on trading view here. And I do want to kind of just focus in on a couple of these. I'm not calling out any one particular individual or anything like that. There's a whole series of different kind of patterns that are going on here, and some of them are more accurate than others, and some of them are very, very loose, okay? So I'll take a look at this first one, just randomly to start with. So you can see here, this is Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the daily, and Binance is the data source, right? And basically, you can see here's the Adam and here's the Eve. And I'll go through what that looks like in a second. So you can see that essentially this is on the daily chart. This is the main takeaway here from Binance daily chart, right? So we know the exchange, we know the pair, and we know the time frame. Very important, because when we go and try to reapply this, it'll help us understand whether or not that is something that's actually going on. This one over here as well, this is on a 12-hour chart, same concept, V bottom curve, and then break to the upside. This is on Coinbase though, and is on the USD, not on a stablecoin pair. And so again, keep an eye out on that. And this RSI down the bottom here is also a key indicator to this one. And we'll just check out this one over here as well. This is an interesting one. So this is Bitcoin dominance. They've got the Adam and Eve pattern on that. I thought that was interesting. And basically, this whole pattern is exploded up, right? And here's another one here. This is a 12-hour Binance USDT pair. So again, we can check these things. And we've got the volume on here, right? So, it's interesting to kind of see measured profit coming up here. They guess thinking 28K, right? But, let's actually dive down into what this is, because I think it's very important that we understand what the Adam and Eve pattern is and how to identify it. So I'm just going to come up here for a sec. So the first thing we need to do is we need to understand that the Adam part of this whole entire thing is basically a V, okay? So this basically would be a V like so, okay? That basically is what they call the Adam part of this structure. The part after basically is an arc, okay? Or a cup, like a cup and handle, but a cup. And if this comes down and retests the bottom down here, okay? So what you end up with is this particular pattern. And then obviously from here, you get this break to the upside slightly. You then should have a retest of this the neckline, this area just here, and then you get a break to the upside afterwards, okay? Now, this is the Adam and Eve pattern. This is a perfect Adam and Eve pattern. Now, obviously, some things, aren't always going to be perfect, specifically when you apply them to the real world. So in this particular case, one of the key things with an Adam and Eve is that it is a double bottom pattern. Okay, and I can't stress that enough. It is a double bottom pattern. Now, you can be close to the bottom, okay, so we can have it sort of like that, and you can say, okay, it's close enough to be a double bottom, close enough. But when it's like here, it's not a double bottom, okay, that is not a double bottom pattern, okay. Now, this is really important to understand, because an Adam and Eve is a double bottom pattern, and it has to be a double bottom or a double top if it's inverted, okay, and failing to do that, you know, basically means that actually all you're doing is you're recognizing something that's very, very loose. Okay, yes, there's a V bottom, but there isn't a double bottom here. Specifically, it only, you know, comes down to, let's say, 60% of this movement. So very important that we know that this would be a very, very loose, you know, Adam and Eve. So an Adam and Eve is a double bottom pattern, meaning that you should have a double bottom here, or a double top if it's inverted. Now, the success rate of an Adam and Eve pattern is about 35%, which basically means that this particular pattern has a 35% success rate of actually being completed and, you know, completing the entire structure and, you know, succeeding. So just bear in mind that it has an absolutely colossal unsuccessful rate, or failure rate, I should say, right? So we should acknowledge that, you know, there's a very slim chance that it plays out, and that's based on this structure here, a perfect Adam and Eve. Now, if it's not perfect and we do not hit that double bottom exactly where we'd want it to, I'm not sure what that would do to the odds of actual success, but I imagine it diminishes quite a bit, okay? And unless, of course, you know, something else is going on, which I can talk about as well in a moment. So this is kind of what we're looking for, right? If we've got a double bottom, this is the pattern that we would expect to see. Specifically, you know, so we've got an Adam and Eve, that's kind of what we're looking to find. Okay, so knowing this and knowing that our charts from TradingView here, all these ones that have been shared, which, you know, it's fantastic that people are doing this and sharing them. There's a lot of them out there. You know, it's good, but let's now apply them, right? So we know that some people are using the daily time frame, some people are using a 12-hour time frame, some people have used 4 hours, 8 hours, and there are some actually even on a weekly time frame. And I'll go through that weekly one in a moment. So let's actually take a look, right? So here we are on our 8-hour time frame, but let's actually just jump up into our daily. Okay, so from our daily perspective, this is what people are saying. They're basically saying, look, we've got a double bottom scenario, we've kind of got this Adam and Eve pattern. Here's our Adam just over this side, and it goes up to about here. Then, of course, we've got our arc, which if I grab hold of my arc just over here, you can see that we have this this arc just coming in here. Now, as I said earlier, with Adam and Eve, it's a double bottom pattern, which would be that, you know, this arc should be touching 17,622, which it does not. It's actually got quite a significant gap. So if we actually go ahead and measure this area, right, and we take it from the top to the bottom here, we can see that actually we're a bit north of the 236, which means we haven't really retraced all that far. If I actually invert this one around here, just to kind of get a better idea, essentially we've just come past 702 and we haven't even hit the 786, which means we're a pretty significant part away from this bottom here. We're a good, what, 20 or so percent away from actually, yeah, I'll probably say we're about 28% away from the entire bottom here, which means there's quite a gap here that has been left behind. So this basically is telling me this is less likely to be an Adam and Eve pattern than what people are maybe speculating that it is. But let's go ahead and just clear those off, and also just go ahead and throw on here where our resistance lines would be. Okay, so if we started up here, then essentially we've got a double top scenario just here. Okay, and again we're pulling back down from here. So you know, looking at this, I do think there's potential room for a little bit of a push to the upside, but we're not closing above this line at the moment, and we're finding quite a bit of resistance. So this is a resistance area, okay, and we can't ignore it. We have to acknowledge that as well. So knowing that this would basically be where our top of our arc is, we're expecting to push up, retest this area, and then pull back down. Now, I know some people will say that we should be using the bodies of the candles, but again, that doesn't line up as neatly, and I do believe that wicks is the right thing to do personally. Obviously, there's different approaches to this. Essentially, using the wicks helps me understand that the price did go to that specific area, and we should consider that within the analysis. So using the wicks here, we can see a double top, which is usually a bearish signal, and we've had failure to close above this area, let alone retest it and push on up higher. So you know, I think this is a incredibly loose Adam and Eve, and then say incredibly loose as in we are not a double bottom. There is no way you can kind of classify this as a double bottom unless you exclude, of course, all of the wicks, in which case you get incredibly close to a double bottom, right? But I think that's just basically picking and choosing what you want to acknowledge at that particular point by excluding wicks. So I don't think it's an Adam and Eve, if I'm being brutally honest here, on the daily time frame. So let's go ahead and check out our 12-hour time frame. Right, that was another one that was quite key and important. Same data, of course. We're looking at this, and there is not really too much more to really say. We've got the same kind of structure. Let's go ahead and just put it on there. So V bottom just over this side. Again, we hit the low point and we come up into this high point just over here. Just pull that in. We'll grab those horizontal rays. What we'll do is we're just going to go and mark up those high points as well. This will allow us to just see these in a bit more detail, so we can see those there as well. So we have the V bottom, and then we grab the arc, and we just go ahead and throw the arc on here as well. If I can draw a straight line. Maybe I won't. And there we go. So we can start straight away see that we're, again, not the double bottom. Even though, so Adam and Eve is a double bottom pattern. I've said this a dozen times in this video now. And it's not a double bottom. Therefore, it's not an Adam and Eve, okay? I think we're still going to push up slightly higher. I think that's a bit, it's going to happen. We're probably going to push up higher. And I'll go through what that looks like in a second. But essentially, I don't think it's an Adam and Eve pattern that's doing it. It doesn't fit. It's just not the right analysis for it. So I think we can agree, based on what an Adam and Eve pattern is, to what's actually going on here with Bitcoin, and that is not what you would expect to see. However, some clever sods have, of course, looked at the weekly, and this one actually is very, very close to it. Again, we aren't getting a double top scenario, though. The only way you look at that is if you skew the data to make it fit. And again, I'm not exactly liking that idea either. So essentially, a lot of people here are saying that we've kind of got our arc coming in here. So we have a V bottom. If I can find where it is on here, let me find it on this weekly. Where is it? It is this one. So this particular chart is basically saying that pretty much the bull run from August 2020 up is basically our Adam down to here. We then have this arc. Now again, it's loose because it's not a double bottom. We pushed up into a new all-time high. So again, you could apply it like this if you really, really, really must. But again, I think everyone's just jumped on terminology bandwagon and is just basically repeating buzzwords at this point, whatever gets the clicks, whatever gets the views, and you can argue that's exactly what I've done in this video, and you could probably be absolutely right about that, to a degree, because I've jumped on the same bandwagon. I'm talking about an Adam and Eve pattern here, even though it's not what it should be. Double bottoms, essentially here. In fact, we even closed above this high point on this weekly chart, right? So it's so loose, and everyone's trying to understand what's going on in the space, and that's perfectly fine. I think it's good and healthy to take a look at the space and try to analyze it and try to make sense of it in whatever way that you can. But however, a lot of these patterns have rules, and you should follow those rules. You shouldn't try to bend the data to fit. That's trying to just basically force your narrative into the charts. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Find a different pattern that does fit, and run with that instead. So let's now jump on into I'm going to go into the 4-hourly chart. Okay, I'm going to go through what I think is actually going on here from an Elliott wave theory perspective. I think we're in a fourth wave corrective move, although it is still technically possible that we have actually bottomed out. Okay, so it is possible that we've bottomed out, with this fifth wave here being complete like so. Okay, but I do think that it's also possible that actually we haven't finished this yet, and we've still got one more push to the downside to be had. Now, all this I guess price action that we've seen here from this 17,622 area is all corrective shaped patterns. Okay, so from an Elliott wave theory perspective, let me just come up here for a second. We've got, I'm going to go through two real basic ones that we have, right? We have a 3-wave structure. I'm just going to use ABC for this, although there are different letters. And then there's an impulsive structure, which is a 5-wave structure. Okay, now this pattern, okay, a 3-wave structure, is what is called a corrective pattern, and a corrective pattern isn't necessarily something that would be necessarily negative. It doesn't indicate price action going down. It basically means it's short term and it's counter to whatever trend there is going, okay? So it's corrective against the trend. Hopefully that makes sense. And then, of course, we have our impulsive move, which is a trend-based structure. This basically sets a trend in a direction. This could be up, it could be down, in the same way that a correction could be up or could be down. And so we would expect these two counter to the trend basically to be a three-wave structured move like this. Okay, so these two are corrections, and corrections are three-wave moves. Okay, so when I talk about elliott wave theory, those are the things that we want to be, thinking about. It's really oversimplistic, but join me in Discord. I've got some material if you want to know more about it. But essentially, all we're witnessing here is corrective, meaning that it's short term. We haven't got any trends going on. And, when we get into this, we have our A, our B, and our C, right? And now I think the C has still got a little bit push higher to go. And that's because this particular type of correction is known as a 3-3-5. And a 5-wave move at the end finishes the entire thing. Okay, so if we come here, we got wave 1, come down for wave 2. We come up for wave 3, we come down for wave 4, we push up for wave 5. Now, with that being said, I think wave 4 is in now, so I can go be a little bit more descriptive over where I think our wave 5 is finally going to go here with Bitcoin. So if I grab hold of this area and I just put a little yellow box right here, this should come in at between 22,855 and 23,396. That's a typical wave 5 retracement. It can go higher, it can go lower, although lower would be incredibly rare. Typically, it would be inside this yellow box, and occasionally it can overextend, and there's lots of reasons for why it could overextend. Now, why do I think we've still got more room to the upside within this corrective pattern? Well, we can take a look at the stochastic RSI, which is a momentum indicator. We've corrected our 4-hour stochastic from an overbought to an oversold area here within this correction. This is now lining us up quite nicely for this last little push to the upside. The hourly chart's also in a very similar position, meaning that we've got lots of room to grow. However, the larger time frames, such as the 8-hour, is already overbought and has remained overbought, meaning that there is an imminent drop to the downside, very, very likely. The same thing for the daily chart, which basically is telling us that though there's some short-term moves to the upside, specifically on the 4-hour and the hourly chart, the 8-hour and the daily is actually telling us that there's an imminent drop to the downside within the next few days, highly likely. It's a highly probable scenario. But we are expecting a bit of a push upwards first. Now, as I said, I think this is a 4th wave move, basically meaning that our 4th wave is up here, and then a 5th wave is going to take us down lower, and our 3rd wave is actually down here, meaning that we overextend our 5th wave altogether, coming on down. Now, this is a bit of a wild card. It's not necessarily something that will happen, but it's something that I think has a high probability of occurring within this structure. I could be wrong on this, of course. 17,622 could be the bottom. However, this is kind of what I feel is best placed considering the structures that are going on. However, if we do pull back and we move from overbought area down into oversold, but we fail to set a new lower low, then I will be inclined to readjust this back up into this particular area where we have actually completed the bottom, and all we then look for is an accumulation zone somewhere down here as we look to see the correct structure then form to the upside. There's many different ways of interpreting this data from an Elliott wave theory perspective, but essentially what we're doing here is we're mapping people's behavior. I think there's being some crazy FOMO towards the end here, specifically around this Adam and Eve pattern that seems to be circulating quite a bit, and there's no way that I can get that to fit as per the rules of an Adam and Eve either. But I'm going to leave the video there, guys. I will leave you with this. I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I see it. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.